review time. Book review time. Let's do it. Hi guys, welcome back, bienvenue and all that jazz. It's time to talk about some books, or specifically today, I'll be giving you a spoiler-free review of The Blood of the Spear, Book 1 of the Eye of Eternity series by Mark Timmony. This is a newer self-pub book. I want to say it came out last year. Don't quote me on that. Let's look. Yeah, first published 2021. So it came out last year, and let's just jump straight in, shall we, to general thoughts, feelings, emotions, vibes. So I had a really good time with this book. It was kind of an interesting blend of like a Forgotten Realms type adventure, but with Wheel of Time type world building and like kind of writing style. So it had kind of a lot of the descriptions, sometimes overly descriptions of like the scenery and the characters, and kind of like Lord of the Rings style, Wheel of Time style, like very detailed descriptions. And there are a lot of nods to different Wheel of Time like world building elements, but I found them fun, more like a little sprinkling of something familiar and to like kind of ground me in this new fantasy world, because there was a ton of new fantasy words, names, places. It like we went full ham on all of the new world building. Like it is a very detailed and deep, rich world that Mr. Mock has created in this world, and I had a really fun time with it. I will say that because of like the more old school classic fantasy vibe, it does kind of keep the characters more at a little bit of a distance. So I never really felt like I was in their heads, in their emotions. It was just more of that like epic fantasy adventure vibe for me personally. I never really like connected to any of the characters on a super deep level, which isn't like a huge issue for me because I'm not a particularly like character driven reader. I am much more plot driven. And so because of that, this book worked very well for me personally. So I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I am excited to continue on. I know that there is a novella out for this world currently, and that he is actively working on the second book in the series. So hopefully there won't be too much delay or huge gaps of time in between books. But I mean, it is self-pub, so I'm imagining that this is like a side project. I know it's not his like job, but it's great. And I mean, this cover art is super cool. It gives me very much Chandrill's Saga vibes from the Forgotten Realms with the like Draco Lich. So with that, let's jump into the more individualized parts of the review. So we'll start with number Ichi, Japanese. So that would be the magic and the world building. So the magic system in this book is very much a soft magic system. There are not clear, hard and fast rules. It does seem like there are some people who can channel the light of the Eye of Eternity, and what exactly that means and what exactly is going on when they do that is very like amorphous. So I'm not totally sure what people can do, what they can't do. There do seem to be different kinds of magic, that you have different affinities for different spheres of magic that you can pull from the Light of Eternity and do different things. Very a la Wheel of Time, right? Where you can channel the one power, but it's not like a gender-based magic system. Men and women, they can all use magic. And one of the main groups that does magic in this world is called the sReads. And so one of our main characters wants to join this group and be trained to become a sReads at their like crystal towers, almost like academy or center of knowledge and training. And so that's one of the main magic systems. And then there seems to be another one that involves the stars in some way. But that particular magic system with the starbinders is much less well described. So we don't really know what's going on with that. And then there also seems to be a third type of magic where there's summoners. Where at some point in the previous history of this world, there were these people who could basically summon demons from almost a different dimension and wreaked massive amounts of havoc. And so I'm not going to hold this up the whole time. Wreaked massive amounts of havoc on this world. And so Now, if people are born with this mark of the summoner on the back of their hand, they are killed immediately because people just don't want to have that ever happen again. So the world building is very much rich, deep lore. I do feel like some of it is given kind of in like exposition-y ways, but that doesn't really bug me. But I know that some people have a real pet peeve for that type of world building, because we kind of go from different places, and along the way we meet different people and they give us different clues or different information about how the world functions, because our two main characters, Darian and his brother Kyle, they are kind of like almost like country bumpkins, kind of. They're from this like kind of remote village or like group of outposts, and so they don't really know a ton about the world at large, and so we do learn things via them learning things, but sometimes it does feel a little bit heavy-handed with the exposition. But there's just so much information and so much carefully crafted thought that went into the lore, so I wasn't mad about it. But it is very complex. It is fairly dense. There is a lot of different peoples, places, names, cultures, events, artifacts. Like, there's a lot going on. But some people love that. If you want a magic world that you have so much to sink your teeth into, this is definitely a book for you. And so with that, we'll move on to part de French. And that's the characters. So like I said, the characters are kept almost more at like an arm's length. We do have our kind of ragtag band of characters that band together. We have the brothers Kyle and Darian, and they seem to have more to their family legacy that they know. And when this comes to light, they are sent on this kind of epic adventure to escape their hometown because of reasons that you would need to read the book to find out. And then they kind of collect this group of people around them. There's a former guardsman. There are some other girls from their village that come along for this adventure. There is a starbinder that they meet along the way and her bodyguard. And so we kind of just have this group of adventurers that kind of get thrust together. And there seems to be a much deeper thing happening in this world that we kind of start to see really start to come into the forefront at the very end of this book, because this book ends on quite the cliffhanger, which, sir, Mr. Mark Timmony, if you ever see this, rude. But they're all fun. They all feel like they have their unique personalities. We have Darian, who's like the more insecure, kind of scholarly type brother. We have Kyle, who is training to be a demon hunter, and so he is very like warrior brother. We have a girl who is training to be the town wisdom. We have, or I don't know, were they called wisdoms in this book, or did I just use a Wheel of Time phrase? I don't remember. But we have a girl basically training to be like the village shaman type person. We have a girl who's from one of the bigger families in the area. We have a leader of the Rangers who help protect these citadels that all these kids are from. We have the Starbinder. So it is just like that fun, big band of people adventuring and finding out more about what's happening in this world. And I had a great time with it. So with that, let's jump into part set. Korean. So that is the plot. So this is very much like a prophecy type of fantasy story where there is some prophecy going on. I don't really want to go too much into detail about what that prophecy is, because you should just read it to find out. But basically when we start, we follow Darian and Kyle in their home village. They come to find out that they have some kind of ties to this ancient bloodline that was thought to have been wiped out. And so the current rulers don't like that. And so Darian and Kyle kind of go on the run and dive into larger world politics and problems that they didn't even know existed. There are people who can channel basically like aspects of different almost deities. There are people who can channel the different spheres from the light of eternity. There are ancient towers, sealed away archmages, bone dragons, all like basically demons, like shadow demons. There is just so much going on, and it is just that epic adventure. I feel like this book one definitely was setting up things to come in future installments, because towards the end of the book, we're kind of really getting into the larger plot that's going to be developing across the rest of the series, and it ends there, which but it was great. Like, it's very much fun, adventure, epic fantasy, like I've said 5 million times. So if that sounds good, you should totally read it. And if you have already read this book, let me know if you plan to read it, or it intrigues you, or any of those things. Drop down in those comments and let me know how you feel about this book, or if you're going to be picking it up. I'd love to hear from you. While you're down there, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, to see more bookish shenanigans like this from moi. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!